Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. So glad you're joining us here in a world that often feels like, well, an overwhelming fire hose of information, right? We take a stack of global headlines, cutting-edge research, surprising insights, and we distill them down into the nuggets you need to be truly well-informed. Think of it as your express pass, maybe, to understanding the most pivotal moments shaping our planet right now, with all the fascinating facts and hopefully just enough humor to keep you hooked.
Indeed, and our mission today really is to connect the dots, to move beyond just the surface headlines. We're exploring the why and the so what behind what's happening globally, navigating everything from the farthest reaches of space to the intricate complexities of international diplomacy, cutting-edge science, the evolving global economy, all of it. It's a journey to uncover not just what is happening, but what it all truly means for us,
Absolutely. And we've got some truly eye-opening stories today. Really fascinating stuff. We'll be diving into scientific anomalies that are, literally rewriting textbooks, the ethical tightrope of artificial intelligence, which is just huge right now, and the raw, unpredictable power of our planet, always humbling. Of course, we'll also tackle the very real humanitarian crises and shifting political landscapes that dominate our headlines. It's going to be a rich conversation, and we're excited to unpack it all for you. So let's get started.
Okay, first up, science and space. When you think of icebergs, you picture those magnificent, pristine white or maybe blue giants. But imagine seeing a black one. That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. What on earth could cause such a mysterious phenomenon?
It's truly an enigma. And yeah, it has genuinely shocked scientists. This unique dark-colored iceberg was recently discovered off the northeast coast of Canada. And unlike typical ice, its dark hue is still a mystery. Researchers are debating whether it comes from sediment, maybe embedded deep within the ice from ancient glacier movements. Like old dirt trapped inside.
Exactly. Or maybe even from microbial growth flourishing right there on its surface.
Wow, microbes on an iceberg.
It's possible. This black iceberg isn't just a curious anomaly, though. It's a stark, dark indicator that climate change might be manifesting in entirely new and visually alarming ways.
Right. A real warning sign.
It's forcing scientists to rethink their models of Arctic ice stability and what this could mean for accelerating melting rates, maybe even faster than predicted.
Okay, that's serious.
It's a vivid illustration of how our planet's ice holds secrets, constantly revealing new facets, things we just didn't expect.
That's a profound thought. We go from Earth's frozen anomalies now to the vastness of our solar system, where new data is literally rewriting the textbooks on Jupiter's very core.
Yeah, this is a fantastic example of how fundamental assumptions, things we thought we knew about our own solar system, can be completely revised with new data.
So what was the old theory about Jupiter's core?
For decades, the leading theory was that Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, possessed a fuzzy or diffuse core. Sort of mixed up.
Fuzzy, okay.
Yeah, and the idea was this happened because of a massive, violent collision early in its formation, like a cosmic fender bender.
A giant impact. Makes sense.
Well, that was the theory. But now, new studies suggest a more gradual process, the accretion of various heavy and light elements over time, just slowly building up its fuzzy interior.
So less of a smash-up, more of a slow build?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And this discovery is pivotal. It doesn't just alter our understanding of Jupiter itself. It offers profound new insights into the formation of other gas giants and even exoplanets outside our solar system.
Right, so it impacts how we look for planets elsewhere.
Exactly. It could challenge the standardized models we use to predict their internal structures, meaning we might have to re-evaluate how we look for habitable exoplanets, what we expect their insides to be like.
Huh, that changes things.
It's a powerful reminder that even the celestial bodies closest to us still hold so many secrets. We're still learning.
Speaking of fundamental shifts in understanding, let's zoom right in. From the cosmic scale down to the cellular level, there's some truly revolutionary science happening right here on Earth, specifically in South Korea, that promises to unlock cellular secrets.
Oh, this is a truly groundbreaking leap for biological imaging. It's really quite incredible. Engineers at Jeju University in South Korea have developed a cryo-optical microscopy technique. Basically, it can effectively freeze living cells at precise moments in time.
Freeze them, like stop motion for cells.
Kind of. Imagine being able to pause a fast-moving biological process, examine it in exquisite detail, and then let it continue.
That sounds impossible. How does it work compared to older methods?
Well, traditional live cell imaging often struggles, right? It's
Yeah.
hard to capture both high temporal resolution, seeing things happen quickly, and fine detail at the same time. especially when observing rapid biological events, like, say, the swift calcium ion waves that orchestrate heart cell contractions. Those are incredibly fast.
Okay, so it's usually a trade-off, speed or detail.
Exactly. This new method overcomes those limitations. It offers a hybrid approach that mimics both light and electron microscopy. It provides sharper, more comprehensive biological insights, while crucially maintaining the native living state of the cells.
Wow, so you get the detail and see it as it happens, essentially.
Precisely. The implications here are vast. It could lead to breakthroughs in regenerative medicine, for instance, dramatically enhance our understanding in pharmacology, allowing us to see drug interactions in real time within cells.
I can see how useful that would be for drug development.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And revolutionize disease modeling. Essentially, it enhances our fundamental understanding of life at the nanoscale. It paves the way for diagnosing and treating diseases at a much, much more precise level.
It's incredible to think about the secrets hidden in just a single cell. Now let's shift gears slightly and talk about the culture that drives some of these scientific and technological advancements. Nick Clegg, the former UK Deputy Prime Minister, now Meta's President of Global Affairs, he recently criticized Silicon Valley's cloyingly conformist culture. That's quite a phrase. It raises an important question, doesn't it? Can an industry that prides itself on disruptive innovation truly thrive if its internal culture prioritizes conformity?
That's a very insightful point, especially coming from someone like Nick Clegg, who's so deeply embedded in that tech world. He argues that this cloyingly conformist culture fosters a herd mentality.
A herd mentality, okay.
Yeah, which he believes stifles genuine innovation and leads to a significant disconnect from what users actually need or want. And he didn't pull any punches. He highlighted a perceived lack of diversity and pointed fingers at a demographic of, well, wealthy male leaders who, he suggests, often claim victimhood despite their immense privilege.
Strong words.
Very. His new book, How to Save the Internet, apparently reflects these concerns. And this critique comes at a pivotal time, doesn't it? Tech companies face increased scrutiny over misinformation, privacy, monopolization.
All of those big issues.
Exactly. So it's a powerful call for Silicon Valley to maybe look inward, to consider if its internal dynamics are inadvertently holding back its potential for truly transformative and, importantly, inclusive technology development.
So it's not just what they build.
Right. It's how they build it and with what perspectives guiding them. That's his point.
Okay, let's move into technology and AI proper. From the culture of innovation, let's turn our attention to the financial side of the artificial intelligence, or AI, boom, which is moving at an incredible pace, but not without its growing pains, it seems. OpenAI, a leader in the field, recently issued a stern warning against something called special purpose vehicles, or SPVs, calling them potentially unauthorized investment channels. What exactly is the concern here?
Right. SPVs, they're essentially investment vehicles, pools of money, popular for getting resources into high-stakes ventures, especially with companies like OpenAI and Anthropic attracting absolutely massive investments in this burgeoning AI sector.
Okay, so they're a way to invest in these hot companies. What's the problem?
OpenAI's warning highlights a significant concern: the potential for scams and fraudulent activities using these SPVs.
Ah, like fake investment schemes riding the AI hype.
Precisely. If that goes unchecked, it could deeply tarnish public trust, maybe even destabilize the entire AI investment landscape. It really underscores the challenges of regulating new financial instruments in such a rapidly evolving tech sector, especially when the technology itself is so complex and the investment stakes are just incredibly high.
Yeah, trying to regulate something moving that fast must be tough.
It's about protecting both investors and, frankly, the integrity of the industry itself.
And speaking of rapidly evolving tech and talent acquisition, there's been a lot of buzz about this concept of a reverse acqui-hire in Silicon Valley. David Lewin, who heads up Amazon AGI Labs, that's Artificial General Intelligence Labs, he recently defended his team's move from a startup called Adept to Amazon using this method. It raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Is this a smart way for big companies to accelerate innovation, or does it potentially stifle the very startup culture that fuels new ideas?
That's a crucial debate right now. A reverse acqui-hire, just to clarify, is when a large company recruits talent directly from a startup, sometimes an entire team, without actually buying the whole company.
Right, just cherry-picking the people.
Exactly. Lewin sees this as a strategic move to advance Amazon's AGI capabilities, essentially integrating previous groundbreaking ideas from Adaptive. He argues it allows for more flexibility and focused development within a larger, well-resourced environment like Amazon.
Okay, His perspective makes sense from Amazon's point of view.
But the critics, they worry about employee autonomy, and more broadly, the ethics of talent consolidation by big tech.
Meaning the big guys just hoover up all the best talent.
That's the fear.
Mhm.
They argue it could undermine the startup ecosystem, effectively poaching innovation rather than nurturing it independently. It really highlights the tension between accelerating progress for large corporations and preserving the dynamic, independent spirit of startups. It's a constant struggle in today's tech landscape.
It seems like that tension extends even to how AI is developed and shared. Elon Musk, never one to shy away from, well, making waves, just announced that his startup, XAI, has open-sourced the Grok 2.5 AI model, with Grok 3 apparently following about 6 months. He's effectively letting Grok out of the bag, so to speak. Now, I'm all for democratizing technology, but you know what they say about great power and great responsibility, right?
You've absolutely hit on the core dilemma there. It's a bold move, no question. Clearly designed to democratize access to advanced AI capabilities, allow for broader collaboration, more innovation, Musk aims to foster competition against the tech giants like Google and OpenAI by making these models publicly available on platforms like Hugging Face.
So the idea is more people working on it makes it better, faster.
That's the hope. More eyes on the code can lead to faster development, maybe greater transparency, and potentially better models for everyone.
But the flip side,
The flip side is significant. Open sourcing powerful AI models also raises huge questions about responsible AI development and potential misuse. The very capabilities that drive innovation could, in the wrong hands, pose substantial risks.
yeah, you can imagine some bad uses for powerful AI.
Absolutely. So the ethical considerations around access and control become paramount. It's a high-stakes gamble, really. Immense potential, but also significant downsides.
Moving on to hardware. Apple is apparently set to unveil the iPhone 17, touted as the thinnest iPhone ever, and a new slim iPhone Air model too, with significant camera and AI-powered system enhancements expected.
Yes, and the launch is also expected to include redesigned AirPods. Rumored improvements include better sound, active noise cancellation, and maybe even health monitoring capabilities built in.
Health monitoring and AirPods, that's interesting.
It is. This event builds on Apple's legacy of transformative products, of course, but they face increasing competitive pressure. Many rumored features, like augmented reality enhancements, are actually already quite common in high-end Android devices.
So they need to really wow people.
They do. With over 3 billion iPhones sold since 2007, the new model is expected to generate significant market interest, naturally. But Apple must navigate that competition and manage market expectations carefully this time around. It's not the guaranteed home run it once was, perhaps.
Okay, let's shift focus to our planet itself, geology and natural disasters. Our planet is a living, breathing entity constantly reminding us of its immense power. Kilauea, one of the most active volcanoes globally, is at it again. On August 22nd, the Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island in the United States began a new eruption, releasing fresh lava with apparently spectacular lava fountains. There's something undeniably awe-inspiring about seeing the raw power of the Earth like that. It's a beautiful spectacle, but also a potent reminder of who's really in charge.
Indeed, it's a powerful display of geological forces, no doubt about it. This latest eruption was confirmed by the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory, and they note that such activity really highlights Kilauea's status as a continuously dynamic system. It's always changing.
So, how are authorities handling it? Is it threatening communities?
Local authorities are diligently ensuring public safety. They're closely monitoring lava flows, air quality, ashfall, all of that. While these eruptions are natural phenomena, they still evoke concern for surrounding communities, naturally. And although they attract tourists eager to witness nature's spectacle,
Yeah, the lava tourism thing.
right, they also pose significant risks. Monitoring these dynamic geological processes is crucial, both for public safety and for advancing academic research into volcanic behavior, trying to predict future events. It's a constant dance between awe and caution, really.
From volcanic eruptions, let's turn our attention to the intense weather systems forming over the oceans. Typhoon Kajiki is currently traversing the South China Sea, and it's heading for Vietnam and China. That sounds serious.
That's right. Typhoon Kajiki is currently carrying sustained wind speeds of 175 kilometers per hour. That's about 109 miles per hour. It's expected to make landfall in Vietnam and significantly affect China's Hainan Island.
Wow, 109-mile-per-hour winds. What kind of preparations are happening?
The preparations have been urgent and extensive across the region. Over 150,000 Vietnamese households have been instructed to move inland.
150,000 households.
Yeah, a huge number. Major carriers like Vietnam Airlines and Vietjet have canceled flights. In Sanya, which is a major resort city on Hainan Island in China, schools, tourist attractions, businesses, they've all closed. Public transport suspended. Around 20,000 people there received evacuation orders.
So, major disruption.
Massive disruption. The U.S. Joint Typhoon Warning Center is closely monitoring its path, emphasizing the potential dangers to both regions. It underscores how swiftly natural disasters can force entire communities into urgent preparation and response, really challenging infrastructure and public safety measures.
And sometimes, the raw power of nature puts individuals in the most desperate situations. This next story truly underscores the unforgiving nature of the mountains. How quickly adventure can turn into a desperate struggle against the elements, requiring not just skill, but immense fortitude. Hopes are apparently fading for an injured climber in Kurdistan, in Central Asia, after she has spent 12 agonizing days on the mountain with a severe leg fracture.
It's an incredibly harrowing situation, just heartbreaking to follow. Adverse weather conditions forced the termination of the rescue mission, and tragically, another climber's life was lost during the attempts to reach her.
Oh no, a rescuer.
Reports suggest another climber involved in the efforts. Yes, it's devastating. This incident highlights the substantial challenges inherent in high-altitude mountain rescue operations. The immense, often unpredictable risks of expeditions in remote areas, and the ruthless nature of mountain weather.
It really puts things in perspective.
It does. It sparks important discussions about safety measures for climbers, the need for improved rescue operations, and the ethical dilemmas faced by rescue teams when conditions become just too dangerous to proceed. It's a stark reminder of the ultimate power of nature and the limits of human endurance.
Okay, let's move to climate and environment.
Turning to our changing climate, Spain recently endured what has been described as its most intense heat wave on record. The sheer scale of that heat wave and the profound human cost really drives home the urgent need to address climate change impacts. It's no longer some distant threat, is it? It's here, now, affecting lives directly and fundamentally challenging our societies.
That sounds absolutely brutal. What were the specifics of that event in Spain? How hot did it get?
From August 3rd to 18th, temperatures reached a scorching 43 degrees Celsius. That's 109 Fahrenheit.
109.
Wow. In some areas, yeah. And it exceeded the previous national record by an astonishing 4.6 degrees Celsius. That's a huge jump.
That much higher than the old record.
Yes. The State Meteorological Agency, AEMET, directly links this to broader climate change trends. They noted that 4 of the 5 most severe heat waves have occurred just since 2019. A clear, recent pattern.
Okay, the trend is undeniable.
And the EU's Copernicus Climate Change Service confirms Europe, as a continent, is warming at twice the global average.
Twice the global average. That's alarming.
It is. Tragically, this specific heat wave was associated with over 1,100 deaths across Spain, a devastating human toll. It also dramatically worsened wildfire risks, mobilizing 3,400 army troops, 50 aircraft. Several European nations sent aid. Over 382,000 hectares, that's about 944,000 acres, were scorched.
Just incredible numbers.
It unequivocally underscores the urgent need for robust adaptation and mitigation strategies to address the evolving climate crisis and its detrimental effects on human health, infrastructure, and the environment.
From the direct impacts of climate change, let's look at another environmental story, this time involving a Zambian mine spill and the implications of China's massive Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI.
Right, this Zambian mine spill involving a company called Sino Metals. It really highlights the multifaceted complexities of environmental justice within China's Belt and Road Initiative.
Remind us, what exactly is the BRI?
The BRI, launched back in 2013, is this colossal infrastructure and trade network spanning continents. Huge scale. However, this push for rapid global growth often overlooks stringent environmental regulations in the host countries. It sort of mirrors China's own historical industrialization path, focusing on growth first, environment later.
So local regulations get pushed aside.
That's the concern. What's particularly worrying is that China's significant financial influence provides geopolitical leverage. This complicates the ability of civil society, local groups, to effectively challenge corporate practices that harm the environment. Communities in nations like Zambia often feel disempowered. They face severe environmental consequences, a lack of transparency.
And the promised economic benefits don't always materialize locally.
Often, the short-term economic gains don't translate into sustainable benefits for local populations. It raises profound questions about corporate accountability, environmental ethics across borders, and the desperate need for tailored advocacy strategies that truly protect vulnerable communities and their ecosystems.
It's a stark example, isn't it? How large-scale economic development can clash with local environmental well-being.
Very stark, a difficult balance, often tipped against the local environment.
Okay, turning now to geopolitics and diplomacy, this is often where things get really complex.
And we have to start with one of the most critical and devastating situations globally, the ongoing crisis in the Gaza Strip and Israel. A humanitarian catastrophe is deepening amidst diplomatic deadlock. The United Nations has now officially declared a famine in parts of Gaza, stating that over 500,000 people are facing catastrophic hunger.
That's an absolutely devastating number, just heartbreaking. What are the most recent reports telling us about the human stories behind that statistic, and what's being done or perhaps not done about aid getting in?
The reports are harrowing. They paint an incredibly grim picture. 12-year-old Huda Abunaja, for example, has tragically lost 15 kilograms, now weighing only 20 kilograms.
Oh my goodness.
7-year-old Mai Abu Arar can now only ingest liquid food via a syringe. Doctors attribute her condition solely to malnutrition. Over 280 individuals, including 115 children, have already died of starvation.
Died of starvation in 2025.
Yes. Local hospitals are completely overwhelmed, struggling to cope with the influx of starving patients amidst dwindling resources. Philippe Lazzarini, the head of UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, described the conditions as hell in all shapes.
What's causing this? What's blocking the aid?
The ongoing blockades and warfare are primarily blamed. There are strong accusations that Israeli government restrictions and military actions are severely stifling aid delivery. Al Jazeera, for instance, filmed empty UNRWA warehouses in Gaza City. Aid wasn't getting there.
But Israel contests this, right? What's their perspective?
Israel contests these findings, attributing aid delivery failures to Hamas. Meanwhile, humanitarian groups and UN officials are calling for immediate, unrestricted access for life-saving supplies, emphasizing that this is a man-made disaster. It shouldn't be happening.
And as that humanitarian crisis deepens, Israeli military actions continue. There are also reports of strikes in Yemen, connecting this to a broader and increasingly dangerous regional conflict.
That's correct. Recent Israeli airstrikes resulted in 64 deaths in Gaza in a single 24-hour period. They're intensifying operations in Gaza City for what's described as a targeted offensive. Simultaneously, and this underscores the regionalization of the conflict, Israel launched airstrikes on Yemen's capital, Sana'a. This was in response to Houthi missile attacks, including a new type of missile with a cluster bomb warhead fired towards Israel.
A cluster bomb warhead, that's a significant escalation.
It is. This signifies a much broader regional conflict, connecting multiple fronts in an already volatile Middle East. Concerns are growing exponentially about the humanitarian impact and civilian casualties across all these fronts. And despite extensive international efforts, diplomatic solutions have been largely ineffective, leading to a worsening humanitarian crisis as resources dwindle and the cycle of violence continues its tragic escalation. Against this backdrop of intense conflict, we're seeing some significant diplomatic maneuvers and political fallout globally. The resignation of a foreign minister over this issue, appeals between first ladies, widespread protests. It underscores just how deeply the conflict in Gaza resonates globally, testing political alliances and humanitarian principles everywhere.
Yeah, I saw that the Dutch foreign minister, Casper Veldkamp, he resigned after his government failed to support sanctions against Israel over its military actions in Gaza. That's a strong statement of principle, isn't it?
It absolutely is. His party, the Social Contract, or NSC, withdrew from the caretaker coalition. They've been advocating for punitive measures, including an import ban from Israeli settlements in occupied territories. The Netherlands, along with 20 other countries, has publicly condemned Israeli plans for illegal settlements. So there's international pressure there.
And what about within Israel itself? I heard about an offer from Benny Gantz.
Yes, Benny Gantz, the former defense minister and a key rival to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He offered a political truce, basically, proposing a unity government, specifically aimed at securing the release of hostages held in Gaza. This comes amidst growing public pressure within Israel for action on the hostages. Gantz is arguing the urgent humanitarian crisis necessitates collaboration, even with political rivals. Netanyahu has acknowledged the offer.
So internal politics are shifting too.
Definitely. And in a different, more personal diplomatic channel, Emin Erdogan, the First Lady of Turkey, appealed directly to Melania Trump, the U.S. First Lady, asking her to advocate for children in Gaza, drawing parallels with children in Ukraine, and urging outreach to Netanyahu.
Wow. First Lady diplomacy.
It happens. Internationally, the issue of Israel has become a huge point of contention in European politics. Slovenia, Spain, and Belgium imposed arms embargoes. Germany partially suspended sales.
So real consequences in terms of arms sales.
Yes. Furthermore, pro-Palestine protests have rallied across major cities, like in Australia, demanding an end to the war and sanctions on Israel, including an arms embargo. This all demonstrates the global reach and profound emotional weight of this conflict, forcing governments and publics alike to take sides or grapple with complex ethical dilemmas.
Okay, let's shift now to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Ukraine recently celebrated its 34th Independence Day on August 24th. It's a poignant reminder of its struggle for sovereignty, breaking away from the Soviet Union in 1991, all while this brutal conflict with Russia continues.
Indeed. President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered speeches emphasizing unity, determination, resistance, the core messages. There was strong international solidarity on display. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney attended celebrations in Kyiv, expressing unwavering support and finalizing a drone co-production agreement between the two countries, plus a new military aid package worth $1 billion Canadian dollars, which is about 723 million US dollars.
Significant support from Canada.
Yes. And crucially, Zelensky firmly rejected calls from the United States, reportedly including President Donald Trump, rejected calls to consider territorial concessions on Crimea. He vowed to reclaim it and other annexed regions.
Standing firm on territory.
Absolutely, highlighting Ukraine's steadfast resolve despite immense pressure.
Amidst those celebrations, though, Russia accused Ukraine of something incredibly serious: drone strikes on power and energy facilities, including the Kursk nuclear power plant, or NPP, in Russia's Kursk region. This could escalate things dramatically, couldn't it? Attacking a nuclear plant.
It absolutely could, and it raises severe safety concerns. Hugely concerning. Russia claimed a Ukrainian kamikaze drone was shot down near the NPP. They said it damaged part of the electrical grid, caused a small fire, and reported a reduction in operational capacity at one of the plant's units.
Did international bodies confirm this?
The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, acknowledged the reports, but crucially, they refrained from assigning blame. They did confirm radiation levels remain stable, which is good news.
Okay, so no immediate radiation leak, thankfully.
Thankfully. But this incident absolutely heightens fears regarding nuclear safety in conflict zones, especially given previous military movements near nuclear sites and claims of Ukrainian intent to control the Kursk NPP. Russia blames Ukraine, calling it a serious threat. Ukraine has remained silent on these specific accusations.
So conflicting narratives again. Makes it hard to know the full truth.
It does. And that conflicting narrative itself is part of the geopolitical tension. But clearly, it signals a dangerous escalation of targets.
Despite the ongoing conflict and these grave accusations, Russia and Ukraine did manage to conduct a prisoner exchange. It's a rare moment of cooperation in an otherwise brutal conflict.
Yes, it's one of the few areas where there's still some communication, it seems. Each side released 146 prisoners of war, plus 8 civilians who were captured during Ukraine's incursion into Russia's Kursk region last year.
Where did the exchange happen?
The Russian Defense Ministry reported the exchange took place at an undisclosed location. They said the freed Russian servicemen are receiving care in Belarus. However, even this exchange was framed within the ongoing struggle. You have to see the context. Russia's chief negotiator, Vladimir Medinsky, claimed Ukraine's capacity to negotiate is dwindling because, he says, Russia holds significantly higher numbers of Ukrainian troops.
Implying Ukraine is running out of prisoners to exchange.
That's the implication, yes. And it raises concerns about those not on exchange lists, the ones left behind. It illustrates the complex, often cynical calculus behind even these humanitarian gestures in wartime. Now, on the diplomatic front, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov recently criticized European NATO members. NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, criticized them for pushing continued military support for Ukraine, and he contrasted it sharply with U.S. President Donald Trump's perceived diplomatic approach.
What was Lavrov's perspective on this? It sounds like he's trying to exploit a perceived divide in the Western approach, maybe even within U.S. policy itself.
He certainly is trying to do that. Lavrov claimed European officials do not desire peace and cannot accept a Russian victory. Strong words. He went further, suggesting previous peace negotiations were actively undermined by Western leaders. He specifically named former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Blaming the West for failed peace talks.
Correct. Russia views the potential for Europe to send troops to Ukraine as a critical provocation, a red line. Lavrov also asserted Russia's military actions aimed purely to protect ethnic Russians and Russian-speaking individuals from persecution by the Ukrainian government, denying any interest in seizing territory but rather addressing what he terms security threats and criticizing Kyiv's policies.
That's Russia's long-standing justification.
It is. He dismissed President Zelensky's calls for meeting with President Vladimir Putin as mere theatrics, demanding a substantial agenda and assurance that Ukrainian negotiators hold genuine authority first. This narrative highlights Russia's strategic attempts to divide Western alliances, justify its actions, and signal potential pathways or obstacles to future negotiations, framing it all in their terms.
With all this tension on Russia's borders, how are countries like Estonia reacting? How are they managing the very real threat of a potential Russian invasion? They must be feeling it keenly.
Estonians are proactively preparing, absolutely, driven by heightened tensions since the Ukraine conflict began, despite concerns from its neighbor Finland about direct military aggression. Many Estonians, like Avia Grom from the Women's Voluntary Defense Organization, are focused on community unity and defense readiness, emphasizing a whole-of-society approach. Everyone needs to be ready.
What does that readiness look like?
Estonia has significantly increased its defense spending to 3.4% of its gross domestic product, or GDP, with plans to grow it even further by 2029. That's a substantial commitment. While some analysts suggest the direct military threat might be overstated for now, risks of hybrid warfare and sabotage, things like GPS jamming, damage to critical communication cables, are considered very real.
So not necessarily tanks rolling across the border, but other forms of attack.
Exactly. Estonia relies heavily on its strategic alliances within NATO for collective defense, and also on a strong cultural emphasis on self-defense, which is a legacy of its history. It's a nation operating with a deep sense of vigilance and preparation. They're not taking any chances.
Okay, let's shift focus now to U.S. domestic and foreign policy. President Donald Trump recently announced plans to deploy federal troops or the National Guard to Chicago, and threatened to do so in Baltimore, both cities in the United States, to combat rising crime rates. This has received some very strong pushback, particularly with comments about beautiful African-American ladies asking for troops. It raises critical questions about federal versus state authorities, civil liberties.
It has indeed sparked a heated national debate. Huge controversy. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson vehemently condemned the Chicago plan, calling it an abuse of power and a manufactured crisis, arguing no emergency exists to justify federal intervention.
Strong words from the state and city leaders.
Very. Maryland Governor Wes Moore criticized Trump's Baltimore threat as performative and nasty and provocative. President Trump, for his part, claimed beautiful African-American ladies in Chicago, wearing his signature red hats, specifically requested federal troops. A claim a black influencer later stated she was behind, adding another layer to it.
Okay. And the threat about funding for Baltimore.
Yes, he also threatened to withhold federal bridge funds from Baltimore if the city's crime isn't adequately addressed, using federal funds as leverage. This scenario clearly highlights deep ideological divisions on state versus federal authority, on the militarization of urban environments, on law enforcement strategies. Democrats argue such moves exacerbate conflict and undermine local authorities, rather than solving root causes of crime.
A major clash over governance and policing.
Definitely. Still within U.S. policy, this next development concerns the direction of scientific research. The Trump administration initiated a purge of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, programs from government agencies, viewing them as divisive. This move raises an important question about how political shifts can influence the very nature and direction of scientific research and funding.
I read about that. What's been the tangible impact on the research community beyond just the policy itself? Is it changing what scientists study?
The Wall Street Journal reported a direct and significant impact. Yes, researchers are actively revising grant applications to remove DEI language due to fears of losing federal funding.
So they're scrubbing the language to get funded.
Apparently so. Over 600 applications have been adjusted since October 2024. And many scientists are now altering their research focus away from minority groups, fearing their projects might be deemed politically unfavorable under the new guidelines.
Wow, that could really skew research priorities.
It could. Trump's executive order emphasizes appointments based on skills, not race or gender, and he's been a vocal critic of elite universities for their DEI policies. It illustrates a direct and significant influence of political policy on the direction and focus of scientific inquiry, potentially impacting who gets funded and which research questions are prioritized, especially in areas like public health and social science.
Yeah, the ripple effects could be quite large.
Moving to appointments, President Trump appointed Sergio Gore as the new ambassador to India and special envoy for South and Central Asian affairs.
Who is Sergio Gore? What's his background?
He's described as Uzbek, born with a Soviet past, and a loyal advisor to President Trump. This appointment comes amidst somewhat tense U.S.-India relations, particularly concerning potential U.S. tariffs on Indian goods due to India's Russian oil purchases.
The Russian oil issue is still a factor.
It is. India's reaction to Gore's appointment has reportedly been lukewarm, suggesting some caution or perhaps uncertainty about the relationship's direction.
Okay, another situation to watch. Now, the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage from 2022. That's back in the news.
Yes, Russia called for an urgent UN Security Council meeting. This came amidst the arrest of a Ukrainian suspect, Sergei Kuznetsov, in Italy. He's accused of organizing the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage back in September 2022.
Remind us what happened there.
Explosions incapacitated 3 of the 4 lines of the pipeline system transporting Russian gas to Germany, a major act of sabotage. Moscow claims Germany's investigation lacks transparency and excludes Russia. German prosecutors have suggested a small group of Ukrainians might be connected, possibly using a yacht.
A small group on a yacht took out Nord Stream. That sounds difficult.
Many experts question the feasibility of a small team or yacht carrying out such a complex deep-sea operation. Yes. Russia disputes this Ukrainian connection, hinting instead at U.S. or British involvement, echoing prior claims from Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service.
So, competing theories and ongoing mystery.
Pretty much. The arrest in Italy adds another piece, but the full picture remains unclear and highly contested.
Let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. She met with the Justice Department. What came out of that?
Yes, Ghislaine Maxwell met with the Justice Department. She reportedly dismissed an accuser's claim of a sexual encounter involving Prince Andrew, and also stated she never witnessed any inappropriate behavior from Donald Trump related to Jeffrey Epstein's activities.
How is this being perceived? Her family has concerns.
Maxwell's family criticized the Justice Department, suggesting this meeting could allow her to reshape the narrative around the Jeffrey Epstein abuse allegations, perhaps in her favor. Al Jazeera contextualized her testimony within what they call a dystopian reality of intertwining power, criminality, and public perception in contemporary America, where figures like Trump often dismiss serious allegations as simply politically motivated.
It's a tangled web, isn't it?
Extremely tangled. This scenario reflects how the lines between legality and immorality can blur, how public trust and leadership can erode. It highlights the challenges of addressing these intricate issues at the intersection of politics, celebrity culture, and criminal allegations involving powerful people like Epstein, Prince Andrew, former President Bill Clinton, and President Trump.
Okay, shifting gears slightly within the administration, President Trump appointed Joe Gebbia, the co-founder of Airbnb, to a new role, Chief Design Officer.
That's right. Joe Gebbia is now the Chief Design Officer for a new U.S. national design studio.
What's the goal of the studio?
The initiative aims to streamline and modernize public service websites. Many government websites are criticized for being outdated and difficult to use. Gebbia seeks to make them efficient and user-friendly, maybe comparable to the Apple App Store in terms of ease of use.
That sounds like a worthwhile goal. Government websites can be notoriously clunky.
They can. The studio is established for 3 years to advise federal agencies and, hopefully, minimize design duplication costs across the government. This follows Gebbia's own political shift. He was formerly a prominent Democratic donor, and this new studio replaces a previous initiative, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, which was briefly managed by Elon Musk, who has since left that role.
DOGE, right.
So it underscores a broader trend towards trying to modernize public services using tech and design principles. Finally, in our geopolitical overview, let's touch on various other regional tensions and diplomatic maneuvers. In the Korean Peninsula, Kim Jong-un recently oversaw the test firing of 2 new air defense missiles. This happened amidst ongoing joint U.S. and South Korea military drills, which always raises tensions.
What exactly does North Korea claim these new missiles can do, and how are South Korea and the U.S. reacting?
North Korea claims these missiles possess superior combat capability for targeting aerial threats. Though, as usual, no specific details were disclosed or independently verified, it's mostly rhetoric. Tensions are palpably high, especially with recent cross-border incidents. South Korean forces fired warning shots at North Korean troops who briefly crossed the demarcation line in the demilitarized zone, the DMZ.
So very tense on the border.
Extremely. Despite these hostilities and the provocative missile tests, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung is still seeking warmer relations. He's scheduled to meet President Donald Trump to discuss cooperation. But Pyongyang has consistently rebuffed such overtures from the South. It indicates a challenging and precarious geopolitical landscape where dialogue remains elusive. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, there's a cautiously optimistic development regarding Iran. Iran has expressed a willingness to limit its uranium enrichment activities.
What's the significance of this move, especially in the context of the 2018 nuclear deal and regional tensions? Is this a real opening?
It comes amid ongoing discussions to revive the 2018 nuclear deal, the JCPOA, which the U.S. withdrew from under the previous Trump administration. Iranian officials are signaling openness to measures that would enhance transparency and rebuild trust. Aiming to reassure the international community they are not pursuing nuclear weapons. The specifics of proposed limitations haven't been disclosed yet, but it's a crucial potential step.
Potential being the key word.
Exactly. A potential step for easing geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and addressing global nuclear proliferation concerns. The outcome of these discussions could significantly impact regional stability and international relations. It offers a glimmer of hope amidst persisting concerns. In Eastern Europe, Moldova is facing a pivotal parliamentary election on September 28th. President Maia Sandu's pro-European government is facing plummeting approval ratings amidst widespread discontent over inflation and economic strife.
So it sounds like Moldova is at a crossroads, with deep implications for its national identity and alliances. Is it leaning west or east?
Absolutely. The ruling Action and Solidarity Party, PAS, faces an invigorated opposition. This election truly represents a crossroads for Moldova. Voters must decide between a continued Western, pro-European trajectory and a potential return to a more neutral stance, particularly concerning its relationship with Russia.
A very stark choice.
Very. The outcomes could redefine not just governance, but also the nation's identity and its geopolitical alignment. There are divided sentiments around closer ties to the European Union versus Russia, creating a significant challenge for any incoming administration. The future of a small, strategically located nation really hangs in the balance. In South Asia, there's been a notable diplomatic overture between Pakistan and Bangladesh. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar made a historic visit to Bangladesh. It was the first by a senior Pakistani official since way back in 2012.
What's the goal of this visit? Mending fences.
Primarily, yes. It aims to ease relations, strengthen economic ties, with potential for trade agreements and even direct flights between Dhaka and Karachi. This comes after the ousting of Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina last year, which shifted the political landscape there. Pakistan seems to be seeking to reposition itself as a key ally for Bangladesh, especially as Bangladesh might be reassessing its reliance on India.
Interesting regional dynamics shifting there.
Definitely. In Germany, the Berlin Bundestag is moving forward with plans to construct a memorial to victims of communism in former East Germany. This comes nearly 4 years after the plan was initially approved.
Why is this memorial seen as so important?
Well, over 300,000 individuals were imprisoned for political reasons in East Germany until the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989. Dieter Dombrowski, who is a former political prisoner himself, emphasizes the memorial is long overdue. He says it provides vital acknowledgement for the victims and serves as an essential educational resource to document their experiences for future generations.
Preserving that difficult history.
Exactly. Finally, in the Asia-Pacific region, Taiwan plans to invest in a massive number of military drones, 50,000 over the next 2 years.
50,000 drones. That's an astonishing number for a relatively small island nation. What's driving this strategic move?
It's directly influenced by the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. That war has vividly showcased the effectiveness of drone warfare.
In both reconnaissance and attack roles, right?
Precisely. It's prompted Taiwan to adapt its defense strategy significantly. This strategic investment aims to enhance its defense capabilities against increasing military threats and potential aggression from mainland China. This massive drone acquisition is a clear signal of Taiwan's commitment to bolstering its readiness and employing asymmetric warfare tactics in a complex and increasingly tense geopolitical landscape.
Using technology to counter a larger potential adversary.
That seems to be the core strategy.
Okay, let's pivot to market trends and the global economy.
We're seeing some concerning warnings in the financial markets, particularly from a renowned strategist who recently warned of a potential significant bubble in the government bond market. This is really crucial. It's a reminder that even seemingly stable assets, like government bonds, can carry significant risk, especially when the broader economic recovery isn't as solid as it might appear.
A bond market bubble sounds like a big deal. What could be the fallout if this bubble were to burst? What does that actually mean for people?
The strategist argues that increasing government bond yields the return investors get may lead to downward spiraling investor sentiment. People get nervous. This could significantly jeopardize current market stability. The Federal Reserve in the United States is already navigating fluctuating interest rates and persistent inflationary pressures. It's a tricky balancing act.
So a bond crash could hit stocks too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A sharp downturn in the bond market could have broader economic repercussions. It could impact equities, definitely. It could raise the cost of borrowing for businesses and governments, and affect the overall financial climate globally. Investors are advised to stay vigilant and reassess their strategies. The landscape remains uncertain, and this particular bubble could have systemic consequences.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on. Speaking of economic struggles, we touched on Germany earlier. Germany's economy, the largest in the European Union, is apparently in a structural crisis. That's a worrying declaration from their chancellor.
Indeed, Chancellor Friedrich Merz declared that Germany's economy is facing a structural crisis, more severe than previously thought. He highlighted diminished competitiveness in substantial sectors like its automotive industry, which has historically been a global powerhouse.
What are the numbers looking like for those big German companies?
Not great. Volkswagen's after-tax earnings, for example, declined 36% in the second quarter. BMW's profits dropped 29%.
Ouch, those are big drops.
They are. Merz stated these problems have persisted unaddressed for over a decade, indicating deep-seated issues, not just a temporary blip. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, projects zero growth for Germany this year. Zero.
Zero growth for the EU's biggest economy. That's got to worry the whole bloc.
It raises serious concerns, not just for Germany itself, but for the entire European Union's economic stability, given Germany's central role.
Now, here's a market trend rooted in a surprising cultural shift we mentioned earlier. Americans aren't drinking as much alcohol anymore. Recent surveys show a significant decline in alcohol consumption in the United States, prompting major beverage producers to adapt. It's wild to see how quickly cultural shifts can ripple through an entire industry. What's next? Kale replacing coffee.
It's certainly a notable and rapid trend. Rising health consciousness, wellness trends. They're clearly driving individuals to shun or reduce their alcohol intake.
So what are the big drink companies doing about it?
In response, they're being forced to completely reevaluate their strategies. It's adapt or decline. They are heavily investing in non-alcoholic alternatives. Everything from zero-proof spirits, non-alcoholic beers, fancy sodas.
The mocktail market is booming, right?
Absolutely. And diversifying their product lines to cater to this more health-oriented market. This poses significant challenges for companies traditionally reliant on alcohol sales and creates considerable uncertainty for the future revenue forecasts. It highlights a profound shift in consumer behavior and directly impacts industry priorities, from marketing to product development.
Fascinating. Let's look at Syria now. They're planning to print new banknotes in Russia and revalue their currency.
Yes, Syria plans to redesign and revalue its currency, the Syrian pound. They'll be printing new banknotes in Russia and removing 2 zeros from the currency.
Why are they doing this? Is the Syrian pound in trouble?
Deep trouble. It aims to restore confidence in its severely devalued financial system. The pound has lost over 99% of its value since the war started in 2011.
99%. Virtually worthless.
Pretty much. This move is influenced by a deal with Gaznak, which is the Russian state-owned printing firm. The intention is also to bring an estimated 40 trillion pounds currently held outside the formal banking system under government oversight.
Trying to get control of the cash economy.
Exactly. Interestingly, the new currency reportedly won't feature images of former President Bashar Assad or his father, Hafez.
Oh, that's a symbolic shift.
It marks a significant symbolic shift, potentially signaling a move away from the Assad dynasty's tight grip, at least visually on the currency.
Let's look at a major U.S. retailer now, Target Corporation, facing significant challenges apparently.
Yes, Target is facing a confluence of significant challenges. Supply chain disruptions, employee retention struggles, intense online competition from giants like Amazon, suboptimal inventory management leading to stockouts, and issues with their pricing strategy.
A perfect storm of retail problems.
It seems like it. The company's brand reputation has also suffered due to various controversies in recent times. Its new CEO, whoever that might be or is, has a major task ahead. They need to address these issues promptly, stabilize operations, and position Target for sustainable future growth in what is a rapidly shifting retail environment. It's tough out there for brick and mortar.
Very tough. Okay, let's check in on the crypto world. Ethereum has reached new price highs.
Yes, Ethereum recently crossed the $4,900 mark, approaching $5,000 for the first time. This broke a 4-year price record for the cryptocurrency.
What's driving this surge? Just general crypto optimism.
It reflects growing optimism in the cryptocurrency market overall, yes. Driven partly by increased institutional interest, bigger players getting involved. Also, advancements in blockchain technology itself, like upgrades to the Ethereum network, and just a broader shift towards digital assets in general across the investment world.
The crypto roller coaster continues.
As always. Shifting to startups. Pintarnya, an Indonesian startup, just raised $16.7 million. What do? Pintarnya closed the Series A funding round, securing that $16.7 million. They focus on enhancing employment opportunities and financial services in Indonesia. The platform connects workers with both full-time jobs and side gig opportunities, and provides essential financial solutions like access to loans or insurance in Indonesia's recovering job market post-pandemic.
So a tech platform for jobs and finance.
Exactly. This investment reflects confidence in the region's tech ecosystem and the pivotal role digital platforms play in reshaping employment landscapes, especially in developing economies.
And finally, in the U.S., Corpus Christi, Texas, is considering bringing back a street fee.
Yes, officials in Corpus Christi are contemplating reviving a street fee. The goal is to fund residential street repairs due to the city's aging infrastructure. Roads need fixing.
Why a fee? Isn't that what taxes are for?
Well, the argument is that a dedicated fee would provide a consistent revenue stream specifically for street maintenance, ensuring safety and accessibility. Officials are trying to balance these funding needs against the potential financial burden on citizens. It's often unpopular.
Yeah, fees rarely are popular.
No. This debate could shape future infrastructure funding and maintenance models in other cities facing similar challenges with aging roads and tight budgets.
Okay, let's dive into societal issues and legal frameworks.
Let's start with immigration, asylum, and human rights. We touched on the UK earlier. The UK government plans to overhaul its asylum appeals system.
Right, the plan to expedite hearings. What's driving this overhaul and how is it being received? It sounds like there's a lot of public debate around it.
There absolutely is. The government wants to establish a new independent body to speed up case hearings, aiming to address persistent delays and inefficiencies in the current asylum system. It's part of a broader reform strategy.
But it's controversial.
Deeply. Protests have erupted across the UK regarding the government's decision to house asylum seekers in hotels. You have demonstrators arguing it's unfair to local communities, strains resources, and counter-demonstrators defending asylum seekers' rights, emphasizing compassion. A real clash of views.
And the barracks issue.
Yes. The government also controversially decided to continue using military barracks for asylum seekers, despite a judge describing conditions there back in 2021 as squalid.
Squalid conditions. That doesn't sound good.
No, this whole situation reflects a growing, often heated divide in public opinion on immigration. It challenges policymakers to delicately balance local concerns, humanitarian obligations, and international human rights standards. Critics raise serious concerns about the potential implications for asylum seekers' rights and the quality of assessments under such an expedited system. Will justice be served quickly or just rushed?
Difficult balancing act. Now, in the U.S., there's a case involving deportation to Uganda.
Yes. The Trump administration plans to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who is an El Salvadoran national, to Uganda.
Uganda? Why Uganda? He's from El Salvador.
That's the controversial part. His attorneys allege the government is coercing him to accept a guilty plea on unrelated charges to avoid immediate deportation to Uganda, a country he has no connection to. This case highlights stringent U.S. immigration policies under the current administration, the complexities for asylum seekers, and the legal disputes around deportation practices, particularly third-country agreements.
What are the concerns about sending him to Uganda?
Critics raise concerns about potential human rights violations and the conditions asylum seekers face in Uganda. It reflects the contentious debate over U.S. immigration policy, refugee rights, and the treatment of those seeking safety, posing questions about the U.S. commitment to international human rights standards when deporting people to third countries.
And a heartbreaking story that tragically underscores the immense human cost of migration, particularly in the Mediterranean Sea. 3 young sisters, aged 9, 11, and 17, drowned while attempting to migrate from Libya to Italy on a dangerously overcrowded boat.
This tragic event truly underscores the ongoing dangers faced by migrants attempting that central Mediterranean crossing: unsafe conditions, treacherous journeys. They too often lead to catastrophic outcomes. One person remains missing from that incident, amplifying the sorrow.
Just awful. What needs to happen?
It intensifies urgent calls for the international community to address the root causes of migration, to improve safety measures for those fleeing desperate situations, and to create more humane and legal pathways for migration to prevent such heartbreaking tragedies from reoccurring. It's a stark reminder of the global humanitarian challenge. Moving to crime and justice reform, a truly shocking case has emerged in the United Kingdom, where a rapist nurse was allowed to work with vulnerable patients for a year despite police warnings. This represents an alarming failure in safeguarding.
That's an incomprehensible oversight. Who was this nurse, and how could this possibly have happened? What went wrong?
The nurse in question is John Chukwunonso Yu. He had a prior rape conviction. Two hospital trusts launched immediate investigations after being alerted to his background by the press, not by internal checks. They're scrutinizing egregious safeguarding failures and the decision-making processes within their organizations. How do you slip through the net?
Yeah, how?
This incident highlights a critical need for much better communication between police and employers and far more robust procedures. Concerning the employment of individuals with serious criminal backgrounds and the sensitive healthcare roles where they care for vulnerable patients. Calls for accountability and a complete reevaluation of hiring practices are intensifying to prevent anything similar happening again.
You'd hope so. Now, former U.S. Representative George Santos, he's facing the harsh realities of prison life.
Yes. Former Representative George Santos expressed distress over the harsh realities of prison life after being sentenced for wire fraud and other charges. It highlights the stark shift, doesn't it, from a life of perceived luxury and privilege, campaigning for Congress, to confinement. His case serves as a reminder of the challenges faced by convicted individuals adjusting to life behind bars, underscoring complexities of legal accountability and rehabilitation, regardless of former status.
And in the UK, there's talk of sentencing reforms involving pub and travel bans?
Yes, UK ministers propose sentencing reforms aimed at reducing recidivism, reoffending, and alleviating prison overcrowding. The proposals include things like banning certain offenders from pubs or restricting their travel.
How would that work? Keep them away from trouble spots.
That's the idea. To encourage rehabilitation by limiting access to environments that might foster criminal behavior. It's part of a broader strategy to revamp the penal system, trying to balance justice with public safety. There's debate, of course, on the practicality and effectiveness of such bans versus more supportive rehabilitation programs focused on underlying issues.
Right. Does a pub ban really stop crime?
That's the question being debated. Now remember Ross Ulbricht, founder of the Silk Road on the dark web.
Vaguely. The online marketplace for illegal goods, right? Sentenced to life.
That's him. Sentenced to double life imprisonment for drug trafficking and other crimes related to running the Silk Road under the pseudonym Dread Pirate Roberts. But he later received a pardon from President Donald Trump.
He got pardoned after a double life sentence.
Yes. This case ignites discussions about justice, power dynamics, the role of the dark web in illegal trade. Critics question the harshness of the original punishment, but also the influence potentially involved in securing a presidential pardon. It illuminates contrasting societal perceptions of digital crimes and the challenges of online anonymity and prosecution. A very controversial pardon.
Definitely sounds controversial. Now, some tragic individual incidents. A fun fair worker died.
Yes, tragically, Corey Lee Stavers, who was 28, died from severe head injury sustained while working at a fun fair in the UK. This sparks conversations about safety regulations at public events, equipment maintenance, and necessary precautions. It highlights the critical importance of strict adherence to safety measures in amusement parks and similar settings to prevent such tragedies.
And a lawyer died from an allergic reaction during a CT scan.
Also incredibly tragic. Letitia Paul, a 22-year-old lawyer, died from a severe allergic reaction during a routine CT scan for kidney stones. She reacted to the contrast dye used. This highlights the critical importance of thorough patient history taking and allergy awareness for medical professionals before diagnostic scans using contrast agents. A stark reminder for vigilance and comprehensive assessments to prevent similar avoidable tragedies.
Absolutely vital. And a deeply disturbing case of child neglect in the U.S.
Yes, a mother and stepfather in Muskogee County, Oklahoma, have been charged after an 11-year-old girl was allegedly forced to give birth at home without any medical assistance.
An 11-year-old forced to give birth at home? That's horrifying.
We raises extremely serious concerns about child welfare, children's rights, parental responsibility, and protection from abusive environments. It highlights the critical need for vigilance from communities, schools, and authorities, and intervention in cases where children are clearly at grave risk.
Unspeakable. Let's move to public health challenges more broadly.
Okay. First, hormone replacement therapy, or HRT, for menopause. Doctors are emphasizing the complex realities involved.
What are those complexities? It's often portrayed as a simple fix for symptoms.
Doctors emphasize it's about balancing the benefits like alleviating hot flashes, mood changes, bone density loss against the potential risks and side effects. Risks can include increased chances of certain cancers or blood clots for some women, depending on their history and the type of HRT. It really encourages informed discussions between women and their healthcare providers to find tailored approaches, not a one-size-fits-all solution. It reflects a growing recognition of women's health issues and the importance of educated choices in managing menopause effectively and safely.
Good to see more nuanced discussion there. Now, Russia is proposing a ban on vapes, electronic cigarettes.
Yes, Russian lawmakers are drafting a bill to completely ban electronic cigarettes or vapes within 2 months, citing health risks. The State Duma chairman, Vyacheslav Volodin, highlighted harmful substances in vape liquids and said existing measures like prohibiting sales to minors are insufficient.
Are vapes popular in Russia?
Polls show 21% of Russians exclusively vape and another 16% alternate between vapes and traditional cigarettes. So yes, significant usage.
Wow, that's a high percentage.
It is. This proposed ban reflects broader concern among authorities, parents, and educators globally about the rising use of vapes, particularly among young people.
Okay, we talked about the brain inflammation from salt earlier. Let's revisit that inspiring 92-year-old sprinter, the one with muscle cells comparable to someone in their 20s. This is truly inspiring. Imagine having muscles like that at 92. I'm going to start stretching right after this deep dive.
It's an incredibly motivating story, a fantastic testament to human potential. This phenomenon highlights the remarkable possibilities of aging gracefully, maintaining athletic prowess well into old age. This individual's unique biology and dedication actively challenges the widespread belief that age dictates inevitable physical limitations.
Gives us all hope.
It does. Such cases encourage further cutting-edge research into the biology of aging. What makes some individuals so resilient? And how can we all optimize our health and performance later in life? Proving that old age doesn't have to mean inevitable decline. However, not all health stories are so positive. We mentioned attacks on healthcare earlier. We're seeing widespread attacks on healthcare facilities and workers escalating in conflict zones around the world, like Ukraine, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, and Haiti. This represents a profound humanitarian crisis.
That's a truly grim situation. What are the specific impacts on these regions, and what are international bodies saying? It's against international law, right?
Absolutely against international law. The World Health Organization, WHO, documented numerous attacks on healthcare in Ukraine just since January 2025. A stark reminder. In the DRC, ongoing bombings and looting have left many hospitals non-functional, drastically diminishing access to vital care for millions. In Haiti, rising lawlessness and gang violence are leading to direct attacks on healthcare institutions, further compounding an already fragile medical infrastructure.
So healthcare workers are direct targets.
Often, yes. United Nations officials and the UN Population Fund, UNFPA, emphasize the drastic need for protection for healthcare and aid workers, unequivocally highlighting that aid workers must never be the targets of conflict. We're hearing heartbreaking stories. Midwives like Ida in Gaza dying in airstrikes. Dr. Khalid Badroldin in Sudan, recounting hospitals turning into demolished facilities. This systematic targeting is not just a tragic consequence of conflict, but a violation of international humanitarian law, with devastating long-term impacts on public health.
Unconscionable. Shifting to allergies now, an urgent need for better labeling for pea allergies.
Yes, families are sharing severe personal experiences with food allergies, including one mother whose son nearly died from an allergic reaction to peas, which aren't always obviously labeled.
Peas? I didn't even know that was a common severe allergy.
It's less common than peanuts, but can be just as severe for those affected. This emphasizes the urgent need for comprehensive food labeling regulations to include more known allergens, not just the top few. Experts are calling for stricter regulations as a necessary public health initiative to prevent life-threatening situations, especially amidst increasing rates of food allergies generally.
Better labeling save lives. Seems straightforward.
You'd think so. And finally, a very unusual case. The first human case of a scabby worm in Maryland, USA.
Scabby worm? What on earth is that?
It's a parasitic worm, scientifically Phylacea gulosa. This case is rare because this particular worm was previously only found in livestock, like cattle.
So it jumped from animals to humans?
Apparently so, in this instance. It raises public health concerns, highlighting potential risks associated with international travel or the movement of pests across borders. Local health officials in Maryland are monitoring closely to prevent further spread, particularly given its known risk to livestock as well. It underscores the importance of vigilance against emerging or zoonotic health threat diseases that jump from animals to people.
Always something new to worry about. Okay, let's lighten the mood a bit with sports and culture.
Moving to the world of sports and culture, English football is at a crossroads, particularly reflected in Germany's Bundesliga. Bayern Munich kicked off the 2025-26 Bundesliga season with a dominant 6-0 victory over RB Leipzig. Signaling their intent for yet another title, they've won 14 of the last 15 league titles.
Wow, that's quite the dominance, 14 out of 15. But it sounds like it might be a double-edged sword for the league's overall competitiveness, which is an interesting cultural point for sports fans, isn't it? Less excitement if you know who wins.
It absolutely is. Critics have long noted the Bundesliga's lack of competitiveness at the very top, and Bayern's supremacy has actually resulted in a decline for German clubs in international tournaments like the Champions League in recent years. It raises questions about fan engagement when the outcome feels somewhat predetermined season after season.
So what are they doing about it?
To combat this and try to modernize fan engagement, the Bundesliga is now trying an innovative approach, offering broadcasting rights to content creators, including popular YouTube channels, specifically targeting younger audiences who consume media differently.
Letting YouTubers show game highlights.
Something like that, yes. This sparks a debate about commercial interests versus traditional German football traditions, which are very strong. Balancing preserving a rich fan culture with embracing new technologies and viewership habits. It's a fascinating tug-of-war for the soul of the sport there.
Interesting experiment. Now, stateside, the Tour Championship finale in golf. Tommy Fleetwood won.
Yes. Tommy Fleetwood claimed victory at the 2025 Tour Championship, which also meant he won the season-long FedEx Cup and the massive $10 million bonus check that comes with it.
$10 million. Nice payday.
A very nice payday. A significant milestone in Fleetwood's career, highlighting his skill and resilience throughout the season. The event also had a poignant moment, honoring others in the golfing community. Players and caddies wore yellow ribbons in support of Ted Scott's nephew, who was battling illness.
A nice touch of solidarity.
Indeed. Moving to rugby, the Women's Rugby World Cup kicked off. How did France do? France secured a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Italy in the opening match. A close one. The tournament itself aims to elevate the profile of women's sports globally, building on recent momentum. France's win sets a positive tone and builds momentum for their team in the competition.
Good start for them. In American football, the NFL preseason, Shiloh Sanders got ejected.
Yes, Shiloh Sanders, a rookie safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was ejected from a preseason finale. He threw a punch at Buffalo Bills tight end Tommy Sweeney during the game.
Oof. Not a great look for a rookie in preseason.
No, not ideal. The incident adds to scrutiny, especially as it comes amidst ongoing bankruptcy discussions surrounding the Buccaneers' franchise ownership. It raises concerns about discipline and sportsmanship, impacting team dynamics as players prepare for the regular season kickoff.
Yeah, coaches hate those kinds of penalties. Now, over in English football again, the Premier League, Newcastle versus Liverpool, and a transfer saga.
Yes, reigning champions Liverpool faced Newcastle United. The subplot was Newcastle's star striker, Alexander Isak. He was reportedly training alone amidst unsuccessful transfer negotiations. Apparently, he desired to join Liverpool and was subsequently absent from the match against them. Very awkward timing.
So he wanted to play for the team he was playing against. That's messy.
Extremely messy. The transfer saga complicates matters for both teams. Newcastle's manager, Eddie Howe, expressed admiration for Isak, but acknowledged the difficult situation. It highlights the complexities of the transfer market, player agency versus club contracts, and team management challenges in professional football. Big money, big egos.
Always drama in the transfer window, and Manchester United's expensive new forwards are struggling.
It seems so. Manchester United spent a reported $200 million on new forwards. But that investment has yielded a struggling start to the Premier League season. They'd only scored 1 goal in their initial games, and that was an own goal scored by an opponent.
$200 million for 0 goals from the new guys. That's rough.
Very rough. Challenges include player acclimatization, building team chemistry under a new system, perhaps. It raises concerns among fans and analysts about the club's ability to meet high expectations and historical performance levels after such a big outlay. Pressure's on.
From the pitch to the court, Maria Sharapova, the 5-time Grand Slam champion, was recently inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame, a moment that reportedly moved her father to tears. A big honor.
It was a very emotional and significant moment in tennis history, yes. Sharapova, who has lived in the United States since age 7 but retains her Russian citizenship, made history as the first Russian to win Wimbledon at just 17. An incredible achievement.
And she had a long, successful career after that.
Absolutely. 36 WTA titles, over $28 million in prize money. Her induction comes amidst ongoing sanctions against Russian athletes due to the conflict in Ukraine. which have impacted many competitors across various sports. It adds a layer of complexity to her celebration. In her induction speech, she encouraged young athletes to embrace challenges and set ambitious goals, underscoring the importance of resilience, focus, and overcoming adversity in both sports and life.
A fitting message. Now, for some cultural celebration, the Notting Hill Carnival in London.
Yes, the Notting Hill Carnival officially commenced with a vibrant children's parade, filled with musicians and dancers, following the traditional paint-filled Jouvert celebration that kicks things off early in the morning.
What's the significance of the carnival?
It's a massive celebration of Caribbean culture, promoting unity and diversity in London. It emphasizes cultural heritage and attracts thousands upon thousands of people, fostering a sense of community. It highlights the resilience and the huge contributions of Caribbean communities to British culture, a real spectacle of color and sound.
Sounds amazing. Now, a very different kind of tourist experience. North Korea's Benidorm Resort.
Right. A Russian tourist named Anastasia visited North Korea's new beach resort area, which has been somewhat wryly described as the country's Benidorm, referencing the Spanish mass tourism resort. She noted immaculate beaches, generous meals, but also, unsurprisingly, very strict rules.
Strict rules like what?
Regulations on behavior, interactions with locals, where you could go, what you could photograph, the usual North Korean controls. It highlights the highly controlled nature of tourism in North Korea. The juxtaposition of natural beauty and tight political restrictions raises questions about tourism's role there. Does it promote understanding or just reinforce the state's narrative of North Korean society? It's a complex issue.
Yeah, tourism as propaganda is always tricky. And in Indonesia, a mobile music craze is causing debate.
Yes, a burgeoning trend of mobile music, often played very loudly from customized sound systems on motorbikes or carts, is sparking debate in Indonesia. Critics argue it diminishes traditional music appreciation and hurts live performance venues.
But supporters see it differently.
Supporters see it as a democratization of music, providing broader access and a new form of cultural expression, especially for youth. This reflects cultural shifts where technology reshapes how music is consumed and valued, highlighting tensions between preserving heritage and embracing innovation, a common theme globally.
What's better than one corgi? 120 corgis in a race. This just sounds like pure joy. Tell me about the Corgi Race Vilnius.
It does sound fun. The Corgi Race Vilnius in Lithuania brought together 120 teams of corgis from across Europe. For a competitive yet undeniably playful event, it celebrated the lively personalities of corgis, fostered camaraderie among dog enthusiasts, showcased the joy pets bring and strengthened bonds between owners and their much-loved short-legged pets. Probably chaotic but fun.
I bet. And I read this article about 14 funny tweets by women, and I swear it's like we all share one brain cell sometimes. They just get it.
Humor can be incredibly relatable, can't it? This collection of tweets highlighted relatable moments, particularly around relationships and societal expectations women often face. One tweet, for example, humorously suggested marriage would be abolished if it were truly beneficial for women. A bit pointed.
Huh. I can imagine.
It blends wit with poignant truths, capturing everyday struggles and absurdities, prompts reflection on womanhood, societal pressure, identity, using humor to connect through shared experiences. Social commentary via jokes.
Exactly. All right, let's wrap up our deep dive with one last story that's less about global politics and more about, well, personality. President Donald Trump apparently had a confrontation with the Secret Service about his unique sleeping habits, and then called the Maryland governor's cardio invitation nasty and provocative. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up.
It's certainly an unusual anecdote. It offers a rare glimpse into the personal side of a high-profile figure's life, and the sometimes absurd interactions with the security personnel who were with them 2047. While details were sparse about the confrontation over sleeping habits, it highlighted how even mundane aspects of life for public figures can become topics of widespread interest and scrutiny.
And the reaction to the workout invitation.
Separately, yes, President Trump reacted strongly to Maryland Governor Wes Moore's invitation for a light cardio session during a potential visit to Baltimore, labeling it nasty and provocative on social media, suggesting Moore should focus on crime rates instead. This whole anecdote perfectly blends the absurd with the challenges of managing public image and personal life under intense media scrutiny, offering a moment of lighthearted reflection, perhaps, on the unique world these political fronts inhabit. So we've certainly covered a remarkable spectrum today, haven't we? From the incredible scientific discoveries rewriting our understanding of the cosmos, to the very tangible human struggles on the ground in conflict zones. What consistently emerges, I think, is the profound interconnectedness of all these global events.
Yeah, you really see it laid out like this.
A shift in the bond market can influence economic stability far away. A political decision can exacerbate a humanitarian crisis. A scientific breakthrough can redefine our understanding of life itself. It's all linked.
Absolutely. And what really stands out to me, listening back, is the incredible resilience we see across the board. Whether it's that 92-year-old athlete defying age, communities banding together against environmental threats like those facing the BRI projects, or nations striving for sovereignty and peace amidst ongoing conflict like Ukraine or those seeking diplomatic solutions. Even in the face of profound challenges, the human spirit, and indeed the spirit of inquiry, continues to push forward, often finding innovation and hope in the unlikeliest of places.
That's a great point. It encourages critical thinking, doesn't it, about how information is presented to us, how narratives are shaped by different perspectives, different media outlets, and how we as a global community respond to the complexities of our time. Are we getting the full picture? It's a powerful reminder that every piece of news, every scientific breakthrough, every diplomatic maneuver, it tells a story about our collective future and how each decision, big or small, has a ripple effect across the planet.
So, as you go about your week, we invite you to keep this in mind. How do these stories, these deep dives, influence your perspective on the world? What new connections can you draw between seemingly disparate events we talked about today? And how might understanding these intricate global dynamics empower you to engage more deeply, more thoughtfully with the world around you? Something to chew on until our next deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.